Hello, I'm Ethan, and today I'm talking about Shadow of the Colossus. Now, normally I've been putting up gameplay for video games, but I don't think that the gameplay is very interesting to watch, that is. A lot of it is going from point A to point B on your horse, which is a complaint I'll get to in a moment. And these videos are like 6 to 11 minutes long, and honestly, that's just how long it takes to get from one point to the next. Um, but the actual Colossi fights are like, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 10 minutes long, so I would also only be showing like one thing. I just don't think it's a very good game to show for review purposes. So I'm just going to talk about it, throw up some clips and screenshots, and have that be good. All right, so you play as an unnamed protagonist. The community just calls him the Wanderer. Actually, I think the game does refer to him as Wanderer as well, but that's aside from the point. And his sister or mother or girlfriend or something, well, if it's mother, she's real young, has died. They don't mention that. You just see him walk into this temple with a girl, a dead girl. He places her on an altar, and a voice tells him you can revive her if you defeat the 16 beasts roaming this land. And that's the entire premise of the game. You are guided to where the next Colossi is. You get on your horse, you ride your way over there, you fight it, rinse and repeat 16 times. That's the whole game. The horse you ride is extremely buggy. I mean, just look at this clip here. I was constantly stuck, and after all that, he just falls off a bridge. Yeah, the horse isn't fun to ride at all. It's very frustrating, um, and I kind of want aggro or argo. It's flipped around because actually, the game is in Japanese, and I don't think there was a way to turn it to English. Like you have to watch it, listen to it, whatever in Japanese, and read the English subtitles, which I don't mind. I've watched a few animes that way. Is it anime or animes? Who cares? Um, yeah, I've seen quite a few with that, so I don't mind it. But if you can't read subtitles, if that just annoys you, then there's your warning. But don't worry, the story. I mean, it's important, of course. I recognize that this story is the director's creative vision. It's not just let's pump out a game to get some money. He had a vision of this. He wanted to tell the story. However, it's not too prevalent. There are probably about 3, 4 cutscenes in the entire game, and a lot of the storytelling is really up to what the player imagines. You don't know the Wanderer's name, you don't know his relationship to the girl, you don't know where they're from, you don't know how she died. It's not explained, and I think it's creative that you're left to fill in the blanks. I think that's nice. But I've gone off topic a little bit. I was talking about how the horse is just really hard to control, and what sucks is the traveling from point A to point B is a lot of the game. I think my first playthrough, I played it on the hard difficulty. It took me about 8.5 hours to finish, and 4 hours was spent fighting the Colossi, meaning another 4 hours was the horse. 30 minutes was probably, cutscenes and pauses and doing nothing. That's a lot of time. That is half the game you're spent just trying to button mash your way through that awful horse. I hope he goes to horse hell. I hate him. Turn him to glue. Let's move on to the actual Colossi fights, and I think this is where the game really stands out because they are unique. They're these giant towering beasts that are supposed to represent real animals or mythological creatures, and you are a little ant compared to them. You have to wait for them to attack, hit their weak point, exploit their fears, something to get on top of them and start attacking their vital weak points. Um, and each one is almost a puzzle in and of itself to figure out how to kill. The boss design is really cool, and you almost feel bad killing some of them. The way that there's just a sad music that plays, the way they dramatically fall down, and some of them whimper like animals when you hurt them. And that does play into the overall message of the game, which I don't think I want to get into because that would be a spoiler, but if you've played it, you know what this message is talking about, and I think that that's it's a decent message, I think. However, the Colossi aren't always perfect. For example, Colossi number 3, his name is Gaius. He's this big, tall dude who's got this sword. He's supposed to smash the sword into the ground, and you're supposed to run up on the sword and grab him that way. He will never do that attack. My first playthrough, I was running around circles his arena 10 minutes trying to get him to do that attack, and then he would finally do it, get on the sword, and then apparently somebody laced that thing in butter, because the Wanderer would just slip right off. It was incredibly frustrating. There were some time trials I did for the Platinum Trophy, and I think it took me like 2 hours to get past his. It was frustrating. I hate Gaius. He's my least favorite. There was another one. There were actually 2 that are like this. I'll put the clip on screen. He would charge at you, knock you down, and the Wanderer would be laid on the ground unconscious for so long, and by the time you finally got up, he's already charging at you, ready to knock you down again. It's just a terrible concept. There was a YouTube comment that I liked that talked about it. It said something along the lines of, the first guy was complaining about how you get knocked to the ground and it takes him forever to get up, and someone replies, "Oh, no, it's because he's unconscious, so it makes sense." And then the first guy replies again, "Oh, I guess because he's unconscious, it just doesn't make it a horrible game design." I thought that was funny. Now that I've talked about the Colossi and the horses, so that's all the actual gameplay, the world itself is beautiful. I'll throw up some screenshots. It's almost a shame that there's absolutely nothing to do. There are a couple trees you can come and try to shoot some fruit down and raise your health. There are lizards you can eat and raise your stamina, but that's about it. It's just such an empty world that I'm not enticed to explore because there's just nothing to do. And I think that's a real shame. All in all, I've probably been criticizing this game way more than it deserves. A lot of people praise it as being like one of the greatest games, because it is actually, I'm talking about the PS4 version here, it's been remastered on the PS3 and initially came out on the PlayStation 2 in 2005. So at the time of its release, it was probably groundbreaking, but 15 years later, it's just good. It's a game that's been regarded so high that saying it's just good is honestly a controversial opinion to certain fans. My initial opinion was that it was just okay, but after 2 or 3 playthroughs, I did start appreciating it more and more. But I didn't appreciate it past a 7 out of 10. It's worth a play. You could probably find it for like $20. I'd say it's worth that. But it's worth a play, and I would consider it like an icon, but I wouldn't consider it the icon. How do I put this? If you were to make a collage that has every PlayStation exclusive character and all that, I think it would be worth putting something from Shadow of the Colossus on there. But if you were to make a top 10 list of greatest Sony exclusives, I wouldn't put it up there. Do you get what I mean? So that's Shadow of the Colossus. It's just good, but not anything better. See ya.